Hi folks, my name is Franco Tenelli and today I'm going to talk about dramatic and lyric voices. Not from the point of technique, but from the point of character in opera. Today, for some reasons, some opera companies miscast singers, placing lyric singers as dramatic and sometimes even dramatic as lyric. I'd like to look at this without any prejudice, and I also want to make a distinction between bel canto as a style and bel canto as beautiful singing, because the word bel canto has basically, among professional singers, two meanings. One, general meaning as beautiful singing. We can call bel canto singer any great singer regardless to his dramatic or lyric abilities, if that particular singer sang beautifully with great amount of legato and so on. Opera for many centuries was singer-oriented type of art, and the most important thing in character of the voice was the voice itself, not necessarily the looks or even dramatic abilities to act. The voice itself would tell people about the character. Like in theater, the size of an actor and his looks were very important to create a particular character. In operas, the strength and the color of the voice would determine the character the singer represented. It was until singers or musicians were in charge of the companies. When the opera started to fall into hands of non-musicians, the situation started to change. The size of the artist becomes more important than the size of his voice. Very famous example is with Mario del Monaco. Those who love Mario del Monaco probably know from his biographies that he was rather short, well-built, but short person. The director of the company did not believe he was a dramatic voice because he was too short. And he, with a tinge of arrogance and smile, told him, "You're not dramatic voice." And he gave him roles like Nadir and Erzil d'Amore, and soon Del Monaco was starting losing his projection because, of course, he was not singing with his true voice. And just in time he realized that, got back to his teacher Melocchi, and got back his dramatic power and ability, and later on proved to be one of the most exciting dramatic tenors on stage. I know many people don't like Del Monaco for some reasons, but Del Monaco is the artist who was supposed to be seen on stage. He was a pure theatrical person. That's one of the examples. We know that people who working in the theater, looks are very important for them, and they don't understand why the voice is the character in opera. And if you look on today's tendencies, you can hear that lyric voices sing Wagner, and then people call them Heldentenors. Or some big voices sing very lyric roles, and because of the roles they're singing, they call them lyric tenors. That's a miscast, and this tendency is kind of growing out of proportion today. Of course, I would like to show you different examples of great singers, comparing them, but for copyright reasons I will not do that. Instead, I try to show you my own way. Of course, in opera, it's very important how beautifully you sing, how musically you sing, but it's not all. It's important what type of character you create when you sing. When we talk about Heldentenor, one of the most dramatic voices in operatic history, or Italian dramatic tenor like in the roles of Otello or Canio, then we're talking about a totally different quality of the voice and a totally different projection of this voice. Not only projection as a vocal projection, but the force and intensity in the voice. And when this intensity is substituted for just musical singing, as they say, well, I love hearing that particular singer when he sings Infernum Land, or it's so musical, it's like he's like serenading. And I understand people who don't understand opera. They love hearing just Infernum Land projected in that musical way, lyric way almost, like today's so-called Helden tenors do. But in fact, this absolutely misrepresents what the authors wanted to be in that particular opera. The character, heroic character, giving a small musical voice with the lyric color, the role of, even if the singer is amazing, giving him the role, it would sound really ridiculous to the true opera singer or true opera lovers, those who really understand that the character and the voice are very interconnected in opera. It would be like, instead of Charlton Heston playing the role of Moise, you would have a great De Niro playing the role of Moise. I would not imagine, though De Niro is one of my favorite actors, and I love De Niro much more than I love, honestly, Charlton Heston, but I don't see De Niro playing Moise because De Niro doesn't have the stamina and the physical ability to make a dramatic impression that he is a Moise, that he's a hero. Maybe, I don't know if you like this analogy, but I find that this is kind of similar. The voice in opera is the character, and when you have somebody singing dramatic roles like a lyric tenor, those who don't understand the essence of opera and just like to hear some beautiful singing, they would not mind listening to Nikolai Gedda singing Infernum Land. Listen, I love Nikolai Gedda. He's one of my favorite personalities and tenor voices, but I totally hate when I hear anybody like Nikolai Gedda singing Wagnerian roles, because it's like, again, it's like De Niro playing the role of Moise. It should not be there. Of course, Nikolai Gedda never played Wagnerian roles, he just recorded them. But today, a lot of miscast happens in opera because directors like particularly the way the acting, or maybe even the size of the actor, singer, and they hire them not by the voice quality, because they don't understand the voice quality. For them, trust me or not, tenor is a tenor. Which way you stand, dramatic, oh, it's still tenors. You know, so, oh, but I like, oh, he looks dramatic, you know. He looks big. In my examples, I try to show you the difference between the color and the power that dramatic tenor is supposed to give and the lyric tenor is supposed to give. I am a versatile musician, those who know me, but I hate when this happens and when miscast happens. Trust me, the miscast happened to me too. In my life, I sang a lot of roles that I should not be singing. Career is a strange thing. Sometimes you don't say no to certain things because simply you want to be in the opera. I dropped all roles that were given to me as too lyric, because you have a problem with the voice when you're right there on stage. If you have a big voice, people who audition you liked you when you sang, then you come on stage, especially in the duets, you have, let's say, one huge voice and a small voice. And then on stage, those directors, they start hearing, oh, there's no balance. I mean, this guy is too loud, or this soprano is too loud. And the best they can do, they come to the singer, say to him, and they talk to the director, please, you know, tell this tenor to sing piano. And they don't even understand that singing piano is always relative. Singing piano cannot be throughout the whole role. For a dramatic tenor, of course, he needs to know what the piano is, but it's not his technique to sing all the roles with the piano, because he's going to damage his diaphragm. It's too much tension on his diaphragm, and he can misplace his larynx. Many things can happen. So it's both kind of dangerous for lyric and dramatic tenor to be miscast, because if you're lyric and then you're casted as dramatic, unless you're mic'd, of course, you will have a problem with this balance. You will be paying the price for miscast, not the director who did that, but you'll be paying the price, because I'm sure that they're going to tell you you have to reduce your voice. Or if you're smaller voice and you miscast, they're going to tell you, okay, we need you more, come on, give us more. And that's very unhealthy for the operatic career. Actually, dramatic art was created as opposed to bel canto art as a style, because bel canto singers were great singers, but the tendency of bel canto of the middle of the 19th century, especially at the end of the 19th century, were just concert singing. They were rulers of the stage in opera, and all you needed to hear is beautiful singing. And of course, that was very unsatisfactory for artists like Giuseppe Verdi, and later on for Mascagni, for Verismo style. They wanted to show a real character in stage, not necessarily as beautiful as bel canto. When Verdi wrote Macbeth, he didn't cast his favorite soprano, and she was very disappointed. She was almost hysterical. He came to Verdi complaining, "Why, maestro, you did not cast me? I'm your prima donna, blah, blah, blah." Verdi tried to be politically correct. He said to her, "Well, because I didn't want the beautiful voice." You know, whether he wanted just to smooth out the relationship, or whether he really meant that he needed different type of voice. That's how I translate it. He didn't mean ugly voice by meaning dramatic, but he meant a different type of voice. The voice that does not necessarily produces kind of instrumental vocalism, instrumental singing, beautiful, with all fiorituras, almost like a violin virtuoso. He wanted to represent more reality on stage, and therefore he chosen more dramatic voices, more darker voices, more powerful voices, not necessarily as good as bel canto in their own way, but good for what he was writing for, real drama, tragedy. And that tendency continued with Wagner and with other great composers, including Puccini, Mascagni, Zandonai. That was an absolutely rule in opera. But nowadays, when I say the musicians are not those who decide, there's theatrical directors are those who decide, I don't blame them. They don't understand voices. They understand more the dramatic abilities and the looks. But that's a pity, because the opera, for me, I cannot listen to many operatic productions today, because for me it's not valuable anymore. I was asked about Roberto Alagna when he was booed in La Scala, and I heard this not live but on performance on YouTube, and I would say in the recording there was nothing to boo about. I think Alagna did a good job. But then you ask me why he was booed. It's simply in La Scala. One simple explanation. They still have real opera lovers, and they don't like when they hear a lyric voice singing dramatic roles. It's nothing to do with how you do it. You may do it beautifully. Pavarotti was booed at La Scala because he was not considered to be a Radamesa. We all know that Radamesa was not role for Maestro Pavarotti. Nevertheless, because of that, he was really booed in some theaters when he was singing something he did not belong to. My true wish today is that opera would come back to the true traditions, and it probably can happen only if musicians take over opera again. This is my dream. And this is a dream of many opera lovers who still understand the true meaning of operatic characters and voices. Thank you very much. That was Franco Tenelli. Until next time. Radamesa.
Se quel guerriero io fossi, se la mio sogno s'avverasse.
You get an idea, and then...
Se quel guerriero io fossi,
Pagliacci.
Recitar mentre preso dal delirio non so più quel che dico e quel che faccio.
And of course, vesti la giubba.
Vesti la giubba e la faccia in farina. Vesti la giubba e la faccia in farina.
You got an idea. Today's versions of so-called dramatic things.
In fernem Land un'abarroeren liegt eine Burg, die Monsaba genannt. Heiliger Tempel steht dort inmitten.
You get an idea. In fernem Land.
In